I remember when I was really young, one of the earliest arcade games I ever played was a Breakout clone. I died in about 20 seconds. I don't know what the problem was. It's not a complicated game. You move the paddle to prevent the ball from falling off the field and destroy all of the blocks to advance. But for some reason, this variant required you to hit a fire button at the exact same moment the ball hit the paddle, something the game neglected to tell you before playing. Whenever I moved the paddle to hit the ball, it would simply explode. So yeah, that was 25 cents my mom would never get back. I suppose from that point on, I've always had something of a personal vendetta against Breakout and its ilk. Despite that, they keep managing to sneak into my life somehow. Alleyway was even one of the first Game Boy games I ever owned, outside of Tetris, which came with the system, and Super Mario Land, which I also got that Christmas. But those are stories for another time. Prejudice aside, I honestly don't know what to think about Kirby's Block Ball. Maybe the developers are running out of ideas for what you can do with a character that's essentially a ball. And with pinball and golf out of the way, I suppose the next logical step is Breakout. So that's what you get here, Kirby's Breakout Land. I wanted to like this game. I really did. Of all the Breakout clones, the one I find the most tolerable is Arkanoid, simply because of all the awesome power-ups. And when you have something like Kirby, you're almost guaranteed to have some really cool ones, right? Right? Unfortunately, Block Ball seems to be stuck in the same nexus as Kirby's Dream Course by being both unnecessarily complicated and cripplingly simplistic at the same time. I suppose the best place to start is by talking about what makes Kirby's Block Ball different from other Breakout clones, not counting the fact that it's Kirby. For one thing, you have control over more than one paddle, which honestly seems like something of a no-brainer. You get one on the bottom of the field, but you often have one at the top as well, and you can even have them on the sides, which means you actually have a reason to use the up and down buttons on the D-pad. Each field you play through has a different layout, so there's a lot of variety when it comes to control. Where this concept really shines is in the boss battles, where you have paddles on all four walls and you're forced to constantly be on your guard to keep Kirby from bouncing into the spikes. These are by far the most enjoyable parts of the game, but the levels leading up to them are what really kills it. The game starts out promisingly enough, and the start of every level is always fun as you're able to smack Kirby around and destroy blocks. But as you start to whittle them away, the game just grinds to a halt as you're forced to simply watch as you constantly miss that last block by a matter of pixels. This inevitable situation is the bane of pretty much every Breakout clone, but it's compounded even more by the fact that the physics in this game are absolutely horrible. The original Breakout had such fluid movement, allowing you to easily change the angle of the ball depending on where it hit the paddle. This game, on the other hand, seems to change direction only whenever it bloody well feels like it. Is your angle too steep or too shallow? Trying to hit the ball with just the tip of the paddle in order to give yourself a more useful trajectory? Haha, too bad. Finishing a level in a game should make you go, haha, yeah, not, ugh, finally. And unfortunately, you're going to be saying the latter more often than you say the former. Also, take a look at this screen. Notice anything missing? How about, oh, I don't know, Kirby? For a game called Kirby's Block Ball, he's surprisingly non-existent. The only way to get him to appear is to press the A button when he comes in contact with the paddle, which causes him to grow and increase in speed. If you hit a block in this state, they're destroyed faster, but it also scores you less points. And unfortunately, this is one of the few Kirby games where points actually do matter. In order to unlock the final level, you have to beat the high score on every previous stage, something that can only be done if you take the time to destroy every block the slow way. Yeah, it's a Kirby game where seeing Kirby is a bad thing. There are a lot of other features in Kirby's Block Ball that play with the traditional Breakout concept, but the problem is there's too many of them. Whenever you kill enemies, they drop food, which you can pick up for bonus points. You can also uncover warp stars by striking hidden panels on the field, which will, more often than not, catch you by complete surprise. Oh, come on! How was I supposed to know that was there? These take you to a bonus round where you can earn extra lives by playing minigames. You can choose which one you want to play, which I suppose is a nice feature, but once you find the one you're good at, you're just going to be going to that one every time. And to top it off, that's not the only bonus round this game has. By hitting another type of power-up, you'll turn all the blocks into through blocks. Yeah, that's what they call them, because you can pass through them. See what they did there? If you manage to hit all of them before the timer runs out, you receive a huge number of bonus points based on how many you destroyed. But if you don't get them all, you don't get any bonus. So again, this leads to a little bit of strategy, but in the end it pretty much just comes down to a matter of luck. Later levels start to introduce blocks that can't be destroyed unless you hit them as Kirby, blocks that can't be destroyed unless you hit them with a power, or blocks that can't be destroyed, period. Yeah, you can actually acquire power-ups in this game, but there's only 4 of them. Spark, which lets you pass through any blocks you hit, Fireball, which fires you upward, Rock, which drops you downward, and Spike, which allows you to stick to the paddle and launch again. These power-ups do help make the game more fun, but they're so few and far between that they really only work as a puzzle-solving gimmick. And again, in order to get the maximum score, you have to destroy the blocks the old-fashioned way. Once you get through the block areas, you reach a target stage where you have to hit star targets and a small enemy multiple times. Once you hit them enough, a warp star will come down that you can take to the boss battle. Any targets you hit in the previous stage will block the spikes of the wall here, giving you a bit of advantage against the bosses, which, as I said before, are all really fun and engaging. I just wish it weren't such a tedious grind in order to get to them. Maybe it's just me, but I think this game should have been more like Arkanoid, with roaming enemies that gave you powers based on Kirby's abilities from the other games, and you use those powers to clear boards and go for the high score. Instead, it's a bloated, overcomplicated disaster that throws everything at the player and hopes they'll find something they can enjoy, but without properly developing the main concept. It's almost like this game was a dumping ground for minigame ideas that weren't strong enough to stand on their own. I suppose if you're a fan of the block, ball, and paddle genre, you might get a kick out of this, but the core gameplay is much too finicky to keep me coming back to it.